Hello, McFluffy52 here, back with some more Phyrexia All Will Be One action, and today we're playing a deck I call Esper Ratadrabik because, well, we're playing Esper Legends, but we're playing around Ratadrabik as well as another card from Phyrexia All Will Be One, Blade of Shared Souls. Okay, so there's a little bit of a combo here with Blade of Shared Souls and Ratadrabik. I originally saw this in Saffron Olive's video on MTG Goldfish. I'll post a link below to that video. He does it in red, white, black, and blue. And there's a way you can kind of go infinite on like a particular turn and then like swing in for a bunch of damage. But I figured instead of just like duplicating that combo, let's go ahead and see what we can do with just Blade of Shared Souls plus Ratadrabik. So the way this works is Blade of Shared Souls, when it enters the battlefield, it creates a 2/2 rebel that it gets this equipment gets attached to. That's the 4 Mirrodin. And then whenever it becomes attached to a creature, for as long as Blade of Shared Souls remains attached to it, you may have that creature become a copy of another target creature you control. So the way this works is we have Ratadrabik out there, as well as a creature that we don't, as well as another legendary creature. We just have Ratadrabik and Blade of Shared Souls. So the way it works is you have Ratadrabik, you play the Blade of Shared Souls, Blade of Shared Souls targets the Ratadrabik to copy it, you legend rule the token that Blade of Shared Souls is attached to, it becomes a 2/2 Ratadrabik copy. And then if you have more and more legendaries, you can just go ahead, or more and more creatures that you're willing to sacrifice, you can go ahead, equip the Blade of Shared Souls, copy another legendary, and then legend rule it and have it create like the token copies with Ratadrabik. So basically that's the idea. We have a bunch of legendaries here. We got some of the cool ones. We have Vraan, Executioner, Thane. Whenever one or more of your creatures die, each opponent loses 2 life, you gain 2 life. This ability triggers only once each turn. So if we can create a bunch of copies of this and then they legend rule or whatever, we're going to be able to drain our opponent repeatedly, which is really cool. Similarly, we have Elas il-Kor. Whenever a creature you enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life, and whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. So this is a good way to drain the opponent out. We have some other fun cards to play with Ratadrabik. We have Mondrak, which doubles up the tokens that Ratadrabik would create. And then we also have Drivnod, which if a permanent dying triggers an ability, well, that ability triggers an additional time. So this will trigger Elas il-Kor twice. I think it triggers Vraan twice. I don't really know because it says once a turn, but this should double that up once a turn thing. I don't know. But that will double up the tokens that Ratadrabik creates again. Similarly to Mondrak, but they're a little different. And then we have Sheoldred here as a fun thing to copy a bunch of times, make our opponent lose a bunch of life on their upkeep. There was a good card here that I didn't end up using. I'm just gonna quickly go into this. This is going to be a slightly longer deck tech, but if we go to Legendary, there is the card that actually forces people to draw. It's multicolor. Where is it? Or do I not own a copy? Let's see. I don't. Hold on. It's just 2 colors. It's blue and black. I can't find it. Here, let's go like this. Yeah, there we go. Airtie. If you have Airtie, this would be a fun one. When it enters the battlefield, choose 1. You can counter target spell. Activated ability or triggered ability is controller draws a card. Destroy another creature or planeswalker. So you could copy a bunch of Airties, destroy the opponent's board, and force them to draw a bunch of cards, which would be really cool with Sheoldred. Making your opponent draws a card, loses them 2 life. So there's a little like potential combo here with like Airtie, Sheoldred, Ratadrabik, Blade of Shared Souls. But anyways, let's go ahead and see how we can do on the rank ladder. This is definitely going to be more of a jank deck, so I will give that as a bit of a heads up. I don't know how this exactly will turn out. I've played a few games with this deck in the standard key, right? So yeah, but there will be a full deck tech where we go through each individual creature at the end of the video, so stick around if you're interested in that. And if you enjoy MTG Arena videos, consider subscribing because we try and make a new video every single day. And we try and make interesting decks that aren't necessarily tier decks. look at different like kind of combos potentially. This is a very interesting hand. We have 2 Giadas, a Sunset Revelry, and Gix. We got Seachrome Coast as a nice untapped land on 2. Going into mono red. Well, we got this Sunset Revelry, which is a pretty good start here. Do we want to play a Shipwreck Marsh? I don't think it actually matters. No, this would have given us access to blue, but we'll have blue with the Seachrome Coast, so it doesn't actually matter too much. Let's play a Giada and see if we can fish out some... Ooh, Sheoldred's really good into them. It's 5 toughness, so it's really hard to get rid of, and it can gain us life and drain them. Probably play Sunset Revelry this next turn, though. Yep, there's the play with fire, fishing out some burn spells. It is kind of annoying, though. We don't have a good blocker for this. Well, actually, we have another Giada, so it doesn't actually matter. Alright, we got that. It's not quite what we're looking for, but this should do us pretty good. 4 life, 2 1/1s. So we can double block their Bloodthirsty Adversary as long as it doesn't grow, or they don't have a removal spell. They might have a Lightning Strike in hand. Yeah, they had 2 mana up, so that was the most likely thing. Are they going to empty their hand this turn? Because if they empty their hand this turn, we might have a chance of actually... Oh, that is not what we wanted to see, but hey, we can block these. And then a Sheoldred will actually be pretty good here. They probably don't have a good way of killing it. And this will gain us life each turn. We can't block their flyers at the moment. We could have played Giada, but I think this is a better option. Kamano, that is upsetting, but we can live with that. Phoenix Chick. We gain 2 life here. I think we just play this. Play this. Could have tried to draw a card with that, but we would like the land drops. So next turn we have options. I'm not gonna attack it, and there's no point. We just need to survive. If we can survive like this next card, we're chilling. Is it a land or is it a creature? Because if it's like a Raiju, well, they can't cast Raiju. Wow, Shivan Devastator and another Shivan Devastator. That is rough. Alright, well that's gonna go. Go ahead and block that. We can destroy their Kamano here, which is something, and then we can play Gix. We're not going to be able to block anything anyway, so we can go ahead and do this. Pay 1 life, draw a card. This nets us 1 life. We're not dead in the air yet. So we can't draw a card. Oh, no, we can draw a card. Do they have the burn spell? Because otherwise we're in a decent spot. We get to gain a fair amount of life here. Let's go ahead, swing in with everything, and then we kill them. And then we force them to draw a card with Lorna the Third Path, and they die, or they draw a card on their upkeep. Sheoldred, proven why it is the bomb. Very nice. Especially against, like, mono red that doesn't have good removal. At least for 5 toughness. Well, if you just play enough legendaries, you can just win that way. That is the backup plan for this deck, is enough legendaries and you kind of win. We had the Blade of Shared Souls in hand, but we didn't have any Ratadrabiks for it to be particularly relevant. Ratadrabik, Vraan, Depopulate. This is a rough hand. We'll go ahead and test it out. Ooh, mono black. Whenever 1 or more other creatures. Is it worth playing out? They're just gonna remove it. I'm not gonna play it out. What are they gonna do? Haste a creature? They could play a 3-power creature and then play out their Alright. Gix, you're worthwhile playing out there because you can do things if you get to attack in. There is one reason that we should have played Vraan, is because we would have been able to draw a card with an attack here. That's okay. Did our music already stop? I was just buffering. Okay. I was like, no way. No, I am a fan of my Gix. What do we want to play? Go ahead, draw a card. There we go, white source. So if we wanted to, we could try and sweeper the board, but that's probably not the plan. Actually, it might be the plan now. Do we want to give them a card draw? Yeah, sure. Sure. It is annoying that we draw a card off or depopulate. Go ahead, just sweep the board though. Sucks to see Ratadrabik go, but we can't really face the opponent's board here. We do get a token copy of our Gix, which gets his cut down. Exile our creature from his graveyard. Deal 1 damage. Crew that. Deal 4 damage. Mono black. Good fun. Good fun. Fun for the full family. Oh, this is not exactly what I would like to do, but I mean, if they cast an Invoke Despair, we're dead, basically. And I mean, they probably have it at this point. You know, they're only 1/10 of the way in their deck. Why wouldn't they? We're dead. Good game. Mono black. Actually so brutal. Ridiculous deck. We may have banned Meat Hook a while ago, but that deck's still gross. Still gross. They didn't even get to invoke, but granted our hand wasn't amazing, yada yada, but just like Bankbuster with mono black, they have so many 3-power creatures. Just turns Bankbuster, like every creature they have is haste. You sweep their board, well, they play out another, like, they play a Tenacious Underdog, or they play a, what is the other card? The Cemetery Trespasser, and then they just swing in. I'll play the Resolute Reinforcements on their turns. They didn't get cut down. Well, now they might get cut down because their opponent did nothing. We could draw a bunch of cards with Geeks, but we can't actually play Geeks, so scratch that. Now we got some creature tokens going that we can use the Blade of Shared Souls on if we get it. Alright, pump up the Adeline by playing another creature. You know what? I forgot. You could play Plaza of Heroes in this deck. I completely forgot about that until right now. Plaza of Heroes would be a good card to play. Yeah, we'll play Alive. Definitely seems worth it. The next turn we can play Gix and start drawing some cards. Though admittedly, they're probably going to sweep the board. We get a token Adeline, a token Giada. No? Okay. Do we just not have lethal? I feel like that's got to be lethal. Alright, we'll play out this. Because I think this is better. Hold on, let me think first. What's like... Do we have lethal here? If we swing in with everything, they block the 5, they go up 3, they take 4 plus, you know, we don't have lethal if we swing in with everything. Let's do this. And then we can draw 2 cards. It would be kind of nice to have Drivnod out here, but because if they sweeper the board at this point, but they don't have any sweepers unless they're paying Path of Peril, but it won't hit like half of our creatures. Well, it would only kill the Giada, but then we get a token copy, and then the tokens. That was an alright match. Our opponent really didn't get much done. Had a really slow hand. We carved out reasonably well. 2-drop into a 3-drop. Followed up with an eventual like 4-drop. I think we ended up with like a turn off there, turn 4. Alright, we got the mana to play Elas il-Kor. Don't mind. Something fun with Mondrak and 4 Meridian equipments, it'll create 2 rebels. Oh, what are we playing, opponent? Okay, so you're playing Bant Phyrexians? Or is this Bant Toxic? If opponent kills the last il-Kor, we'll flash in the Resolute reinforcements before so, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Fortunately, we do not have double black. I guess we could have put the Seed Core in this deck as well, because a lot of our cards are Phyrexian. Search up a plains. So they're rampant. What could they be playing? Vindicator? Vindicator in green? It's just like Bant good stuff. Fair enough. We can draw a bunch of cards if we do this first. I think that's more worth it than making sure we get Sheoldred out. They're probably also going to sweep the board here, so Sheoldred is much better. Post any sort of sweeper. Lots of cards. Gix is good. I haven't ever played around with Gix, but feels quite a good card. Ooh, is this a monument deck? It's occurring to me this might be a monument deck our opponent is playing. Monument to Perfection. I like that they have the Azusa sleeves and then the Azusa's Many Journey. I believe this is Azusa. Could be wrong. Probably not actually supposed to be like directly Azusa. It's just a nice sleeve of a lady. Spend the sphere. They could proliferate. Yeah, they're gonna proliferate. So we're a 5-color sphere deck so far, so I'm feeling the monument coming here. What do we want to do? We're gonna probably block all of our stuff, so we might be best off just drawing with this and holding up a Sunset Revelry. I mean, you could swing in with a last il-Kor if we think they're gonna sweep her anyways. They don't want to lose their creatures, which is interesting. They lose 2 life, and then we lose a life, draw a card. Not bad. Yeah, I think we're just gonna go ahead, cycle this, and then we'll hold up Resolute Reinforcements. I have a feeling a sweeper's coming down. They're at 6 mana, so this could be a... No, they're just flying out creatures. Interesting. I'm sort of confused by what our opponent is up to, but I don't know if we really want to bother blocking any of this. Our opponent has more creatures than us and more life than us, so we can use Sunset Revelry effectively on our turn. Aha, they are a Monument to Perfection deck. Go ahead. Well, we could play this and then play the Sunset Revelry, but it shouldn't really make a difference. Though it does make a difference. We don't get two dorks. Bunches of life gained. Gotta play out Sheoldred. No attacks here. We really need that Mondrak so we can start going off with his Blade of Shared Souls. Opponent, though, probably has a sweeper to go with their monument, I would think, or they just plan to just batter in with it until the opponent doesn't have enough responses. More lands, so they're getting closer to activating their sphere, or monument to perfection, and becoming a 9/9 indestructible Phyrexian construct with indestructible. Well, I already said indestructible. Toxic 9 is the key part. If it ever taps you, you're mostly poisoned. And then they have the Vorix as well as Expand the Sphere, which can also proliferate, so we can't ever let it hit us. So maybe we play out Mondrak here, so we can hold it up as an indestructible card if they ever go for a sweeper. They would like to untap their lands. And nah, I'm good. If you ever block this, they get to untap 3 lands they control. Oh, I like the Vraan here. Go ahead, play out this Vraan as well as I mean, look at our life total. Our life total is doing fine. How much mana does their opponent have up? Not enough for it to really matter. They have 4 blockers here. So we could go ahead and swing in with everything and then they would block it all. I mean, yeah, we can get rid of some of their dorks. Otherwise, we get to draw the card and lose a life. Result. Okay, we get to draw 2 cards, which is cool. And we're gonna go ahead and do this. Pay 4 life. Go ahead, sack these 2. They're gonna die anyways. We get to drain them for 4. It becomes indestructible. 2 hidden. We get to draw 2 cards. Take action. And these legendaries are disgusting. So strong. We got Resolute Reinforcements with Mondrak, so that would create a bunch of cards. Opponent loses 2 more life. If any of our creature dies, they lose 3 life on their turn. Vraan is active again. It says once each turn, so that includes your turn as well as your opponent's turn. And then we have Elas il-Kor. Oh no, opponent. That's gonna be painful. Yeah, that's pretty painful. And then we can flood the board here, and so we don't have to worry about them getting haste. I don't know why they didn't just activate their Monument to Perfection and attack in there, but fair enough. Let's go ahead and play this. I'm kind of upset we have gotten through like a third of our deck and not found a single Ratadrabik. I think we'll go ahead and play a Blade of Shared Souls here, even if we don't get to hit anything cool. It'll create 2 tokens, which is nice. And then this gets to become a copy. Can't submit 0? Okay, just copy the other token. Oh, you can submit 0, sort of, but not really. Oh, they can't block. My bad. I didn't even realize we had straight up lethal. Dang. Alright, well, another game of just Esper Legends being legendary. That's pretty cool. Opponent has not had any good answers to our Sheoldred. It's not like we have like any particular protection spells, so like if they remove our creatures as we play them, we are liable. Let's go ahead and see how we can do this game. This is performed way too good. I don't think we should be doing this well. Alright, Shattered Sanctum into Seachrome Coast, into Elas il-Kor, into Vraan. Okay, maybe we'll be playing Adeline next. We have 2 Vraans. We'll play the Vraan first. They're gonna remove it. They don't remove it. That's strange. They do remove it. Okay. I was like, there's no way that whatever we play actually gets to stick around here. We have a pretty nice token set up here with Mondrak and Adeline. Though they probably have another removal spell. Oh, Golgari. Okay. Good. Play out this as well as Thane. Or Vraan, sorry. Keep thinking Vraan. Thane. Vraan, Executioner, Thane. This is gonna go. Three removal spells. Is it gonna be 4? Sheoldred. I raise you a Sheoldred. But we gain a life when it enters, so. And if you kill our Sheoldred, you lose 3 life. But it's gonna fight spell our Elas il-Kor. Alright, it'd be nice to draw into our third card here. Opponent is playing Death Touch, removal, fight spell nonsense of some sort. But yes, no attacks. End turn. We'll let them draw a card with Glissa here, I think. Can't really do much to stop it at the moment. It is nice that we have the double Sheoldred, so neither opponent or neither player is getting out of hand with it. They don't blitz that, which is interesting. I mean, I guess they just want the blocker and then attack in with Glissa. presumably. Do we want Mondrak to stay around? No, I like my Sheoldred. Opponent is going to run out of removal spells eventually, and we're going to top deck actual action instead of tail swipes. Though they have used 2 tail swipes, so they probably only have like 4 more fight spells in their deck at maximum. That's what I thought. I was like, there's no way now you're attacking in with that Sheoldred. I'll block it with the last il-Kor in a heartbeat. Draw or gain a life. Or lose 1 life, draw a card, because you gain some life, sort of. Not really. We're going to top deck into another land. Very cool. Let's pass turn. Opponent had no instants, so creatures, presumably. They have 7 mana, or 6 mana. Sacrifice the last il-Kor because it's the least relevant here. They get to fill up their hand because invoke is invoke, and it is invoke is invoke. Invoke, invoke. Have I mentioned invoke yet? That card should be 5 black. Card's actually so gross. It's played in like... It's a 4 black pip spell that is played in what percentage of decks? I will look it up here, but let's see. Cards, popular cards / staples. So, a 4 black pip spell is played in 1/3 of all decks. 34% of decks are running 3.6 copies on average. A 4 black pip spell. Maybe, I'm just going to say it here, the spell is a little bit too good. Go for the Throat is played in half of decks. Like 3 copies average. Just swinging with everything, we'd basically just die, I think. But if they have a fight spell, we're very dead. No way you have... Okay, I was about to say, there's no way you have like your 5th fight spell. This works. And then we get a copy of Sheoldred here. I'm not gonna lie, Blade of Shared Souls, you're kind of late to the party. You are like unbelievably late to the party. Yes, we keep the one that's relevant. What do we want here? Probably another copy of Sheoldred. I mean, we're just kind of dead. Because they just attack in with Phyrexian Obliterator and we lose. They just attack in and we lose. 2 Sheoldreds though. That's something. Oh, there's Go for the Throat. Opponent got Glissa down there, and we didn't have any responses for Glissa. Mainly because, well, it's First Strike, Death Touch, and so we just need to build a bigger board so we could endlessly chump. That was the only solution in our deck. We don't have any actual removal besides sweepers, and we didn't draw into any of the sweepers. I have good news though. Looking at the top 50 cards in Standard, there is now at least 1 card that has green in it in the top 50 cards in Standard. You want to know what it is? Atraxa. Not too surprising, honestly. Oh, great. Grixis. This is gonna go terribly. Volatile Harvester. Okay, well, we have the combo in hand. If we can survive a little bit, maybe we get to play the game, but... We have a good response to Fable, turn 3. They got to go first, though, so we're just playing behind endlessly, so it's fun. Go ahead, no attacks. Fable's gonna let them get to 5 mana next turn, or 5 mana this turn, so they might be able to just attack in and then invoke Despair. They don't, actually. Though the double Blood Tide Harvester means they can remove basically anything that they would dare to choose. I will say one thing of note: if you have Lorn of the Third Path or any other ETB creature and you're trying to copy it with the Blade of Shared Souls to get the ETB, it does not work that way. It's important to note, if I played Blade Shared Souls this next turn on the Lorn, I can't go ahead and like blow up another thing that they have. It doesn't unfortunately work that way. Okay, gain some life here maybe. Fortunately, we had a tap land as our 4th land, so we didn't get the Ratadrabik out like we would have liked, which would have protected our last il-Kor and Giada from just dying completely. Though we do have Mondrak with Ratadrabik in hand, which can get pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. But I don't think we're going to be living long enough to see pretty crazy in action. Because our opponent has... Okay, they don't have mana for Invoke right now. Double Ratadrabik is nice. We're going to instant speed remove one of our creatures. I think next turn we'll play Mondrak so we can jump with the Elas maybe. Or maybe just play Blade of Shared Souls. If we get a land, we can Blade of Shared Souls and like double up, sort of. But not actually. Alright, if they have an Invoke, we're just dead, but I don't really want to lose my creatures. So they lose a life and we get a Ratadrabik copy. Somehow that didn't seem like that was the best upside for them, but I guess that works. Alright, I didn't specify a untapped land, so we're just gonna go play Ratadrabik. And we get Vigilance on this duder, so we can go ahead and swing in, deal a little damage. We're out of Invoke range at the moment, but not exactly in... Ah, Rakdos Atraxa. The only reason you'd be playing that is if you have particular plans for something in your graveyard. And that would happen to probably be Atraxa. #1 reanimator target in standard. Graveyard shift, that's a way to get your Atraxa back from the graveyard. Also has instant speed if you have, or sorry, flash, as long as you have 5 or more mana types. Okay, we can play this. Oh, we don't have enough for the... Okay, Unfortunate. I was really hoping we would have enough with Blade of Shared Souls. Alright, this is looking like a little bit of an uphill battle. Mondrak's nice and all, but Blade of Shared Souls. I was hoping that we'd have enough men to play it afterwards. Didn't really count. If we get to survive this turn, we can create quite a few Mondraks and gain quite a lot of life. Alright. Okay. Please, let us live for a second. Okay. That's a good sign. 3 mana. They're digging. They are digging. They're still digging. I could have a removal spell for 2 for our Elas, il-Kor, or Mondrak. Sweeper on 3, Brotherhood's End. No. Okay. Giada is fun, but the Blade of Shared Souls is what we came here to do. We finally got off. Thank you, opponent, for completely stalling out and desperately searching for like an Atraxa or something. We gained 2 life here. Very nice. We'll create a token copy of Mondrak, I think. We might end up getting pretty close to breaking the game here, but let's see how this goes. Create 1 Mondrak, which we get 2 of. Gain some life. Gain some more life. Drain them. And then create another copy of Mon. No, that was not what I wanted to do. Okay. This is bad. This is very bad. I forgot that I have to equip and then target, so this is less than ideal, but we get like 8 of these or something. 4, my bad. Alright, well, that was a very big punt. If I didn't screw that up, we would have been in a very good spot. Unfortunate. Oh, that's so bad. I should have equipped it to the 2/2 token all the way at the end and then targeted them. Well, that is... I haven't ever really gotten this combo off to a great degree, so... Because I haven't played that many games with the deck. But that is what a punt looks like. They're digging. They don't have the mana to cast. No, they do have the mana to cast a track. So they got blue, white, green, black, red. Well, red doesn't count, but they also have 7 mana. Okay, they're just gonna go Sokazon. Do we actually live through our punt? We live through the punt. Okay, so what we should have done is we would have targeted that, or equipped it to that token, and then target the actual real Mondrak, the legendary Mondrak. You never equipped it to the legendary. Never equipped it to the legendary, because then we lose the legendary, so we can't keep the combo going. But that is a good depiction of what not to do. Alright, we're gonna play like 1 or 2 more games here, see if we can get it off again. That was a lot of fun though. Why do I feel like the music today has been much more like super chill music instead of well, not to say the music normally isn't super chill, but not quite as energetic is perhaps the right word. Alright, we really need another land here. So right now we're just playing Legendary Tribal, and we have 3 4-drops that we'd love to see. Ooh, that's annoying. I go ahead, attack in with everything. Gonna go ahead, block. Do wonder what our opponent is up to. Just in case they go for the sweep round 4, we're gonna go ahead and hold up Resolute Reinforcements. Oh no, they are a Mardu. So they're probably Mardu tokens or Mardu sacrifice. Go ahead, gain some life, create some tokens. Creatures, I guess. Create a token. Okay. I keep forgetting to specify I would like an untapped land. Alright, Giada, keep it going. And then we can go in with these two, maybe. Actually, if we get a Bladed Shared Souls, we like to have some tokens to target. So just keep it this way. We're going to drop Ratadrabik this next turn. So that if we get sweepered, at least we have some decent things to protect. Or we have some decent protection. Unfortunate that that goes, so maybe we don't drop Ratadrabik this next turn. Distraction Specialist. Okay, this is an interesting one. Big fan of their blood type. Oh, so we're a sort of vampire-y deck. Okay, you know what? I don't care. Go. Could have attacked in first. It's a fair point, but I don't think we would have gotten any damage through. Now the question is, what are we dropping? Which one first? That is very bad. Another Bloodcaster means we are dead. Yeah, it's game. Taking like 3 damage in the air, and then another 3 damage next turn. On top of all their other creatures. I don't know what our opponent is up to, but kind of just sitting there. I guess they're trying to decide whether or not they want to attack or sacrifice their Blood Tile Harvester. I would assume that they just want to sack their Blood Tile Harvester, but I'm not entirely sure how we stand a chance against our opponent here with so many low-cost creatures and them able to get their Bloodbat Summoner flipped, or their Voldaren Bloodcaster. This card is kind of good. We played it in our Immortal Orzhov deck that I created a while back, where we were playing sort of things like this Extraction Specialist, as well as like Hero of the Dunes, to keep recurring our cards from our graveyard. So if they ever removed anything, we're able to get them back. Alright, we'll go ahead and play one more game. Our sweeper was completely ineffective there, which was upsetting, but that is kind of the meta. There's like plenty of decks where sweepers do absolutely nothing to. Sopo. Alright, we'll keep this hand. We got Giada plus Sunset Revelry, so we got a decent action on 2. We managed to draw another land, which is vital. We also got the full color set. That is not what we want to see. Hopefully our opponent does not have complete devotion, which is a combat trick that gives it +2/+2 and draws them a card, but they do. I mean, I can't not block the Jawbone Duelist, unfortunately, because of how good of a card it is. Go ahead, play out Adeline. I hate you, Toxic. I really do. If you're looking for a budget way to win mono red, first off, Crokies did a video, or did a stream, where he started a fresh account. And I presume he either spent money, well actually no, sorry, he didn't spend any money as far as I understand. And then I'm assuming he probably put in, if you go online and you search up MTGA codes, there are a bunch of codes that you can enter in that can give you like free packs. And with that, you can go ahead and get yourself some rare wild cards as well as some rare cards. But if you go ahead and do this, you can go ahead and craft yourself a decent enough mono red deck to grind yourself to mythic in under 11 hours. He did it in 10 hours. Boating here, demonstrating why Toxic is just very much a disgusting meta. I hate it. It's just so many like cheap cards, and then I can't do anything about this forward Toxic. I'm 23 life. They have done zero damage to me, but the fact that they got in a few attacks with their Jawbone Duelist and everything means that I get to die. I'll block this with Warren. Block this with, actually we'll block this. Yeah, I don't care about the 4 damage. And this stops the same amount of Toxic as if we block the Jawbone Duelist with our Adeline. Falling Chorus. I guess I could just copy the Elas il-Kor with this Blade of Shared Souls. But honestly, we can just go ahead and do this, decline, and then we get a 2/2. This gives us another token. Go ahead and block it. They have us down to 8 life, essentially. Because every Toxic is like 2 life. Ossification, they remove Adeline. Alright. Block Jawbone Duelist. See if they have a pump spell for it. And then block this. They have us down to 4 life. Oh, bless you, Ratadrabik. Bless you. No attacks. Silka Shepherd, they give it flying, so they get 2 more top. Oh, no, that one's the one that creates 2 mites. My bad. Go ahead, block. Oh, there's 2 of them. My bad. Block one of them like this. Right? This doesn't have Toxic. Yeah. We kind of need this extra thing to, stand a chance. Ooh, though, another Mondrak. It's pretty good as well. We need 3 blockers on the ground, so it doesn't really matter how we do that. If they draw an ossification, we lose the... No, we don't lose the game. So we can just Blade of Shared Souls here. What's the move? action, keep this one, create a 2/2 token copy, give them life, drain them some, swing in with this. Actually, we can't swing in with that. Actually, we can swing in with that. Opponent, would you like to die? If they kill this Ratadrabik, we get another 2/2 copy. So it doesn't really matter. And we drain them like that. We have another Ratadrabik in hand. If they kill our creatures, they lose life, so... Lose life. Lose life. Alright, now if they have a one that gives them flying when they attack you, or when they play it, there is like one that looks like Basilica Shepherd that when they play it, it gives another one flying. It's very obnoxious. What do we want to do? If you attack into everything, they don't lose all their life. I think Blade of Shared Souls get us 4 blocker, and then that's good enough. So what we do here is we actually target the Ratadrabik, take action, and then we keep this one. We create 2 more copies. I mean, I guess then we swing in with everything, because if they block and they die, they lose all their life. Oh no, I miscounted. Okay, they're bad though. Thank God. Oh wait, yeah, they have to block with both anyways. Okay. I am not bad, just mostly. Oi, oi. I thought they wouldn't have to block that, but they were down to 2 life, so they had to block both, and if they block both, then they both die, and then they lose. Though, there's a way they could have blocked, which would have worked out, I think. Actually, I'm not sure. If they switched up their blockers, maybe they had a chance. Alright, let's go ahead and hop into the deck tech and wrap this video up. Alright, Esper Ratadrabik. I think if you play this deck a bunch, you're going to have some really interesting games. If you get it to go off, like if you get to keep your Blade of Shared Souls, your Ratadrabik around for at least 1 turn, you're going to be creating like 3 or 4 token copies of whatever fun card you want to, which will be a lot of fun. So, do I think it's worth to play? I think so. Is it going to have the most like impressive win rate? Probably not. I do think there's probably edits you can make. You can be like, okay, well, do we really need the Mondrak? Or do we really, well, actually Mondrak's somewhat relevant, but do we really need 4 copies of Blade of Shared Souls? Probably not. You go down to like 2 of them, get rid of the Giadas or something, swap out the Giadas and like a Blade of Shared Souls or 2 for like a Go for the Throat, and then we have Go for the Throat and Depopulate. That's a pretty good set of control, or like a good package of way to deal with like our opponents. Sunset Reverie is also a nice card against more aggro matchups. Anyways, let's go ahead and go through each card. Giada Fawn of Hope. This card is really fun if you're able to create a ton of copies of it because, well, each angel you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter for each angel you already control. And then you can spend mana of it to cast another angel spell. We don't have any other angels in the deck, I don't think. Let's go ahead and check. There's 2 angels. Yeah, so you're not going to really be spending the mana ability unless you're casting the second Giada with the Giada on the battlefield, which doesn't seem like it'd be relevant unless you have Ratadrabik. But yes, Giada. I do think this card can be really fun if you create a bunch of copies of it, but it's probably one of the more extra cards in this deck, so you probably could go ahead and cut it for like actual removal, like a go for the throat or a cut down maybe. But yeah, that is basically why it's in this deck. It's still not a terrible creature. A 2 mana 2/2 flyer with vigilance is pretty good, regardless. So yeah. Resolute Reinforcements. We have 4 copies of this deck, so we can get a bunch of chump blockers, as well as we need tokens to, once we create, so like, if we have Ratadrabik, we play the Blade of Shared Souls, targeting the Ratadrabik. We get a Ratadrabik token, but then our only options are to equip it to either those 2 creatures, the token Ratadrabik or the real Ratadrabik, and equipping it to either of those doesn't really have much of an effect. So we need at least one other creature token to really start going off, because at 2 Ratadrabiks you start to net tokens, even if you're using one for the Blade of Shared Souls target. So yes, we do need like Ratadrabik, Blade of Shared Souls, and one other token to really comfortably kind of curve out and go off. So that is why we have Resolute Reinforcements here. It's probably one of the better token cards, besides like Wedding Announcement, obviously is one of the best cards in Standard. So if you have Wedding Announcement, maybe you swap the Resolute Reinforcements out for Wedding Announcement, and this deck becomes better. Sunset Revelry, as I said already, this card is good against a fair number of matchups. Like if you're playing into a control and the opponent has a bunch of cards, this becomes like 2 mana draw card, which is not bad. The gain the life thing is not super relevant in some matchups. If you're playing like aggro decks, like a Gruul against Gruul or mono red, this card becomes much better in those regards because you get the tokens and the life most likely. But against toxic decks, this card is a little weak because the life gain's not relevant. The only thing that's super relevant is the draw card and the 2/1/1s. But if they're toxic, they're aggro, you're not going to be drawing a card because they're unloading their hand pretty fast. So you're only getting 2 jumpers. Vraan, I do really like this card. When we had it, being able to drain 2 whenever another creature you control dies once each turn is just nice, because unless they're playing a sweeper, they're not going to be doing, or like you might just be jumping away, and in that case this card's pretty good for that. And then this card is a pretty good to copy a bunch of times, because, well, then your opponent's gonna, like, you make 5 Vraans, and then one of your creatures dies, you sack it to the Mondrak here. You pay like the 1/2 Phyrexian mana, sacrifice 2 other artifacts and or creatures, so you go ahead and sack like your Adeline, your Lorien, or whatever. And then if you have 5 Vraans, that's you instantly drain your opponent for 20 life. 10 life. If you have 5 Vraans. But if you have Drivnod, that's doubled up potentially. I still would have to check. Do let me know if Drivnod plus Vraan actually results in a double drain. I wouldn't think so, but anyways, you can see how Vraan, copies of Vraan could be pretty nutty. Elas il-Kor, Sadistic Pilgrim, similar to Vraan. Whenever a creature you control dies, lose 1 life, or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. So this is like similar to like the whole drain effect, but it applies to every creature, regardless if more than one dies in your turn, and then you can gain some life, which is nice whenever you're playing your creatures, which can be again relevant against those mono red sorts of matchups. Lorien of the Third Path, this card is just really good because, well, you see artifacts, enchantments running around, you can just go ahead and blow them up with Lorien. We got it off on that Fable, and I think that helped us win that one match against that one opponent. Adeline, Resplendent Cathar, this card is really good in like a mono white or like aggro decks. In this deck, it's just a nice legendary that also creates tokens, which we already talked about is relevant for targeting with Blade of Shared Souls, so that we can go ahead and start netting tokens whenever we sack or legend rule one of our cards. So it's here because it creates tokens, and it's here because it's a good card. Blade of Shared Souls, one of the combo pieces, being able to enter in as a 2/2 that can copy something, if we want it. This allows us to legend rule, and then when we legend rule, we can create tokens with Ratadrabik, and then also the Formurden is kind of nice with Mondrak. But yeah, Blade of Shirtles. Gix, this card proved its worth in those few games where we were just playing little Esper Legends, basically. Being able to just drain ourselves, or like lose 1 life, draw a card, super strong. When we have like so many small creatures that we're able to keep around. When we don't have a bunch of creatures to keep around, it's a 3-mana 3/3, so it's not horrible. But yeah, to populate, we have 2 of these in the deck. We didn't really get to see them actually do anything, unfortunately, because the one deck that we sweepered was like the whole blood token reanimator with extraction specialist. So but I do think having a few depopulates can be nice to get you out of those more aggro matchups. This deck probably could benefit from more spot removal to deal with cards that we come across that are just a little bit too hard to get rid of, and we don't want to remove the entire board. And also just because we're not always going to draw into a depopulate. Mondrak Carnage Dominus. I like this card a lot. It's a 4-mana 4/4, so the body's not terrible, and then it gets to double up your tokens, which we have a fair amount of token synergies in this deck. So I feel like it's not a terrible card in this deck. And then the ability to have like a sack outlet and make it indestructible is kind of nice. As we were talking about, after we combo off, this card can potentially act as a sack outlet to let us actually finish off our opponent by sacrificing a few of our creatures and then draining our opponent for their life total with a bunch of Vraans or il-Kors. So Sheoldred, this is another fun card that I was hoping to get a bunch of copies of, because whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life, and when our opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. So if we could create a bunch of copies of Sheoldred, it seems pretty nutty, because then our opponent kind of just loses on their upkeep, and if they don't lose, we get to just still like gain a bunch of life, which is cool. Sheoldred also works really well with Gix, because Gix says you pay life, and if you do, draw a card, and then we draw a card, and so that would gain us 2 life, so we end up netting a life, which is nice. Drivnod, this card I didn't get to play a bunch with Ratadrabik, but this card works really well with Ratadrabik because it will double up the tokens that we create with Ratadrabik, and then it also works pretty nice with like il-Kor and maybe Vraan, still up in the air whether or not that works. And then in terms of the land base, we're playing all duels. I didn't play any of the gain lands, like the ones that gain you a life, and entered tapped because I was trying to hopefully have as many untapped land as possible. But we got full playset of Rafine's Tower, 2 Underground Rivers, 2 Shipwrecked Marsh, 2 Darkside Shores, 3 Seacombe Coast, 3 Cave of Koilos, 3 Shattered Sanctums, 3 Deserted Beach, 2 Atikar Wastes. I think for a lot of these lands, there's only a certain number of them that I have, but also when you look at the different color counts, we have 23 white pips, so we want a majority of white, and then we have 16 black pips, so we also want a fair amount of black mana. So as long as all of our lands have at least one of those 2, for the most part, we should be doing alright. We have 4 blue pips, and that comes from our Blade of Shared Souls. Really the only blue thing in this deck. Again, though, I did mention Airtie could be a fun card to, I do not have it unlocked, but Airtie Resurrected, the double hand man, or the double arm man, would be a good card to potentially include in this deck, because then you get some interaction with counter spells, as well as destroy. So this could be your removal that maybe you, instead of going for the throats and whatnot, you play like 2 Airties. Which could be quite good. Again, though, you do have to worry about like the curve of the deck. Do we want to have to always hit 4 mana to actually start removing things? So yeah, you might have to balance the deck out again some. But yeah, that is the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. It helps out the videos a ton. And I will see you in the next one. Have a nice morning, evening, night, afternoon, whenever and wherever you're watching. Ciao.